upon all nations. Think about nations, think about the world, think about a person's life. And his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he has delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with blood. Think of ruin and destruction and decomposition and corruption everywhere. Think about that. Think about listening to Slipknot albums all day long. Verse 4. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off the vine, and as the falling fig from a fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down from Idumea, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and the blood of lambs and goats with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. He's talking about a murderous spirit that exists. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. I want you to remember this idea of the recompense, the vengeance. The streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land shall become burning pitch. Think about Jared Loeffner's life now, okay? It shall not be quenched night or day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever, from generation to generation, and it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever. Now, notice this. He says, now that this land of Jared Loeffner's life has become a wasteland full of carnage and destruction. Now that this has happened, watch this. But the cormorant and the bittern shall pass it. The owl shall possess it. Excuse me. Now I want you to think about this. He's mentioning cormorants and bitterns. He's going to mention animals that fly with wings. These are representations. Babylon in Revelation was the hold of every bird. Okay? Spirits with wings. That's what you get out of this. The cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl also and the raven. And owls and ravens, they love carnal things. Okay, they love meat. Shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon you the line of confusion. That's how he was, and the stones of emptiness. That's his life. They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing. And thorns, you know what thorns is? That's sinfulness in a person's life. Thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof. And it shall be an habitation of dragons, and a court for owls. Now notice this. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow, and the screech owl. Here in the Hebrew, and I don't know much Hebrew, but I know this one. Here in the Hebrew is the word Lillith. This demon of dreams, this spirit guide that you meet in the dream world. Here is a screech owl. And I believe this translation's right. Also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. Now I'm going to show you. I think God, instead of using the word Lilith here, God is going to show us something. He's going to teach us something here. Remember when was it? A movie came out called Fourth Kind. It was supposed to be like a continuation of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and it was Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, or the Fourth Kind, where instead of meeting the aliens coming out of the spaceship, the fourth kind of meeting aliens was much more dark and more sinister than that. The aliens were going into the mind and taking control. And if you watch this movie, there is a repetition of 3 and 33 and 333 in this movie. And I'm going, I get that. The number 4 referencing the spiritual realm. Principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. But the psychiatrist was hypnotizing these people who had these episodes, and all of them started out saying, I was awakened, and I looked outside, and there was an owl standing there. As you watch the movie, you later see that this owl was just the outward image of a very, very evil spirit that caused people to commit senseless murders. I think God, using these words in our Bible, it's not a mistake. God wants us to know that spirit of that screech owl, Lillith, the demon dream guide, Babylon herself, that's ruling through the nightmares of people's minds. Washington, D.C. I mean, that looks like where the Capitol is. You know, and you have this statue of a goddess. That's what that looks like. What about the Bohemian Grove? I think the spirit of the owl, the screech owl, Lillith. Remember, they move in where there ain't no people. They move in places where there is a wilderness, an emptiness, a wasteland. Think about Jared Loughner and others like him whose life is just a wasteland. Loughner came in contact with familiar spirits. God had warned us about that. Leviticus 19:31, regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 20, and the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go a-whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people. That's what everybody was saying about Loughner. Was that he just seemed like he didn't belong to anybody else. He was cut off, even from his own parents. Deuteronomy 18, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination to the Lord, and because of these abominations the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. God said in Isaiah 19, the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over to the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. You see, I'm telling you, what has happened in this country is that we have abandoned the true, the pure, the good words of God, and we have traded them in for the little fantasy worlds that is being led by the familiar spirits. Not just the dream world of Jared Loughner with his awakening dreams or his conscious dreams, but any of these fantasy worlds that people are getting into. Second Life. Second Life is where you can go online, create an avatar for yourself. Boy, there's a word right there, half human, half God. You can create an avatar for yourself, and you can live in this little fantasy world where you can fly, you can have sex with whoever you want to, you can be a man, woman, you can be whatever you want to be. And people are spending their lives inside the fantasy worlds where the screech owls live. Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy role-playing games, even Sims games, where you live in this little fantasy world. Stay away from them. Listen, if you want to blow your mind with stuff, read this Bible. People, we have lost the Spirit of God in this country and in our culture, and we have invited the familiar spirits in, and I'm telling you that Jared Loughner is just one of 1.5 million people in this country, maybe even more, probably a lot more, that are all headed down the wrong road because they have no word, they have no spirit in their life. All they have is a habitation of devils. Even Jude, in describing the events of the last days, including the false prophets and all the bad people, he calls them filthy dreamers. That's who Loughner was. And he defiled his flesh. He despised dominion. He was very anti-government. Speak evil of dignities. And here he was, last Saturday, as a dignitary was speaking. Shot her, tried to kill her. Killed all these people. I think this Bible's right. I think it's right 100% of the time. I'm just going to throw in here very quickly the symbolism behind this, and there was, and it's not because it was going to bring in a new world order or because he was CIA mind-controlled or he was a Mason. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that spirits just like certain places.